Um, I'm going to open up the Zoning Board of Appeals, Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for December 18th, 2019. The first matter on is are the minutes from the last meeting, November's minutes from the November 20th, 2019 meeting. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the meeting minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Corrections, concerns? Okay. I know there were some minor edits made by Tim.
And Kim.
Huh?
And
Kim, that's correct. And so thank you for those edits. All right, if there are any questions, concerns, corrections, I'll make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes for November 20th, 2019. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approved. Before we get to the agenda, I just wanted to publicly acknowledge Richard Macaluso over to my right. This is his last meeting. He has served here with distinction for 4 years, and I know I've really enjoyed my time with Richard. I wish you were staying on, but I understand that you're moving on to some other things, so I just wanted to publicly thank you for your service, and we really enjoyed your time on the board.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed being here and learned a lot.
And if you're bored on a Wednesday night, come on over. What the
I'll
hell?
sit next to
Next to
Chris.
me.
There you go. So,
Thank you.
anyway. So we have two matters on as far as new business. The first one is Davidovich.
6832 Route 9.
It is.
All right.
Would you like to get up? And you know what the routine is. Just get up and explain to the board what your application is. And hopefully John can put it up there.
All right, so 6822 Route 9, which is the parcel just south of Pet Country on Route 9, a little bit north of the village. And what we have is the former Costco oil terminal.
Okay.
All right, we are before the planning board to convert the former accessory to an oil terminal building to a professional office, which we intend to be our professional offices for my company, the Art of Building. The existing building's 990 square feet. We're also proposing a 660 square foot addition to the rear of that. Everything with respect to that appears to be in conformity with the zoning. What doesn't appear to be in conformity with the zoning is that there is a proposal, our proposal is to put a sign in front of the building. Existing building, nothing being done to bring it any closer to the road, but the issue is that the building is very close to the road, so therefore the sign ends up being very close to the road if you put it in the ideal spot, which is in front of the building. So the sign ends up being about 4 feet from the edge of the roadway, and the code states that the sign must be 20 feet from the edge of the roadway. So having searched for other options on the site and finding none, we decided to come to this board and propose that we get some variance relief to put the sign in the front of the building so we can have an identifying sign for our business. And just very quickly about our proposal, what you see in this sort of lighter gray shaded area is the removal of quite a bit of macadam. About 22,000 square feet of asphalt is being proposed for removal as part of our application, as well as I think it's 700 linear feet of metal fencing, mainly with barbed wire on top. So basically taking the site and sort of revegetating it, turning a lot of asphalt into gravel area, sort of reserving judgment for future development of the site once we figure out what that might be some years down the road. So the plan is really just sort of, in the true sense of the word, a brownfield development site where we're going to reuse the existing building, add to it a bit, and then clean up all of the noise on the site. The prior owner had already cleaned up the oil contamination. There was a little bit of fairly surface level oil contamination around the former tank farm, largely the topsoil layer, and that was all done under the oversight of DEC prior to our ownership. And now we're just proposing to officially make it an office, and we'd like to have a sign in front of the building that goes with that use.
So the sign that you're proposing, the size of the sign is in conformity with?
The size of the sign is 12 square feet. Now, there was a question that came up the other night because it's actually a two-sided sign. So the planning board raised a good question as to, whether you could have 12 feet on either side because it's a bi-directional sign. So there may be actually a second need for variance relief if the interpretation is that both sides are a max of 12 square feet. Yeah. So that is.
Seems like that you should have answered that question before.
It seems like it, and everyone was, a little bit gray on it at the meeting.
Okay.
So it was a follow-up item for me to research. So that there might be a second issue with the sign. But this was Monday night, so we haven't really had a chance to circle back on that issue yet. But I do have a picture of the proposed sign as well, or actually the rendering from time of the sign. So
Is the ZEO going to get involved with that as far as you know? It's on the,
ZEO hasn't weighed in on it yet. She didn't flag it originally as
Yeah.
an issue. But there's the sign, it's our typical sign. We did a bigger version of it essentially. This is the sign we use when we do construction projects as an identifier that it's a project of ours. In this case, it's just a lot more robust in terms of its legs. And then it does have a light on the top to shed some light down on the sign at nighttime. And then just as part of full disclosure, we figured we'd put the second sign on there in the event that we invite someone to share our office space or something like that. Figured we might as well come to the zoning board with everything that's intended, and that would be potentially two businesses operating out of the site.
and would that still be in conformity with the?
This is all, this all is slightly less than 12 square feet, or 24 square feet if you count both sides.
I believe you had another rendering too that had,
Yeah, there's a
it shows
location in
it.
front of the building,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one.
There you go.
Yeah, so, excuse the Google work there, but, yeah, you could see, less than 20 feet certainly from the roadway, but the idea being you could see it from both directions, and we've confirmed that the site distance out of both driveways of the site is well in excess of 1,500 feet, so there's no issue with lack of sight line.
Sorry, David. Architectural renderings, but do you have a survey? Just wanted to make sure that we're looking at the.
Yeah,
actual-
this colored plan is based on a survey, which is the site plan that you all should have as part of your package. So this is to scale in the version that you have, probably not on the screen.
It shows the extent of the road and right of way owned by.
Yeah, it shows edge of concrete and then concrete curb, and I believe that would be right of way right there. The dotted line.
Okay, because often property lines go into or under roads,
Mhm.
so I just want to make sure we look carefully at where the property.
This one appears to be pretty typical where the right-of-way is wider than the pavement surface, and I believe the code reads from edge of pavement, but in this case, we are also outside of the right-of-way, the state right-of-way.
I think it reads the sign regulations are from the property line.
Oh, this is the property line?
Yeah.
Is that sign lit all night or to a certain hour?
We could certainly limit the hours. It's more, the purpose of the light is obviously nights like tonight where someone driving by at 8 PM, we might be working late, so they need to find us. So we could certainly put any
I
kind of
think
clause
these
in
are your
there.
lighting, right?
Yeah, that's the lighting. Very similar to this lighting which is done at Haven Spa. This is pretty much this exact light, just in a little bit of a different enclosure. So if you look at the New Haven Spa sign at night, that's almost the same thing. Of course, our sign is wider, theirs is a little taller. But, to the timing question, 10, 11 PM is about all we need, at best. It doesn't need to be that long.
Do you happen to know, there are two freestanding signs south at the shopping center?
Okay.
That, do you happen to know how far off the road those are? Because they can't be 20 feet.
They're certainly not, yeah, they're pretty close to the road too.
That might be interesting information to have, just,
Oh, you could, considering in relationship to the neighborhood, so to
Yeah.
speak, and what's going on.
Yeah.
Certainly in the village, they're closer. I mean, the Haven Spa sign, the Co sign, those are both closer. And then even probably across the street from us in the Astor Square, their signs are fairly close to the road.
Yeah, this is just a picture of Google Earth, from Google Earth, so here you can see
Monroe Muffler.
the Monroe
Yeah.
muffler. but I can't
Yeah,
have
and then the Astor Square signs are there too.
Yeah, sorry.
Mountains.
Here's just another picture.
Yeah.
Here's the Monroe.
So this is our former construction sign there, that's not, actually Monroe's is a little bit further back.
That's not what
Because
it's
our proposal
Well,
is
might
right
be,
about
might
there.
be.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be, I mean, just looking at this, if you flip the car around, maybe. Phantom Gardener certainly much closer.
Yeah.
They're probably about the same distance as we're proposing. I would imagine Pet Country's newer, so it's probably not.
And is Pet Country about, do you know how far back it is?
I'm looking at it, I mean, I could see vaguely their sign there.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have a pretty big, like,
Yeah.
drainage basin in front, so I would imagine there wasn't an issue putting it in
The
front.
building's certainly much further.
Yeah, the
back.
building's a little bit.
Jim, did you say the view is from
The-
tarmac or from property line?
Property line for sign regulations.
So those may differ with those other properties. Exactly, so.
Yeah, they're probably on the job.
Okay.
Although it's a state road, it might be fairly typical.
So that's,
Well, the survey's in there.
right.
The site plan's all based on the survey.
Well, the area variance will have to be correct as compared to the statute with the distance, but in terms of the impacts to community character, the distance of the sign to the pavement.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah, this temporary construction sign is actually way closer than we're proposing, because the road was supposed to be there. So if you spun that around, it's quite a bit further away than that.
And so that's the only variance of this.
That's it. Yeah, it's just a
Oh,
reuse
so
of
far.
an existing building. I mean, everything else seems to be fine. Yeah, we might, down the road decide that, there's some other use that we can put on the property, we'd like to put on the property. Pretty, hopefully straightforward.
Should probably get the CEO's take on the square footage issue potentials.
In addition.
Whether she counts both sides.
Yeah.
Both
Gary was
sides,
looking
yes.
into that.
Yeah, I'll
You
check.
could definitely, okay.
Yeah, can we just roll that in as part
Sure,
of this? Yeah,
absolutely.
if it's needed.
If it's needed.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to, that sign's probably the same, when you look at our two signs
Right.
along the road. So I'd imagine there's a bit of a precedent there. And even the Astor Square sign, it's portrait in orientation, I bet you it's about 1,200 signs, so maybe there's some precedent.
I think this issue has been decided.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the case.
I think it's-
Okay.
All right, any questions, concerns? Anybody want any additional information? We'll deal with that one issue.
Okay.
But I think there's enough information, at least for me, to consider the application. So I make a motion that we accept the application as complete. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. And
Is there any information that you would want Darren to bring to the public hearing?
You know what?
So that we're not asking for it again then?
I think really the only thing is that the CEO, the only thing I was thinking of was perhaps illumination, if there's some way of doing a rendering. I know you said it's like the Haven Spa, but if there's any way of doing it, some kind of rendering of what the illumination might look like,
night.
that might be helpful because,
It was submitted.
Is this one?
No, there's another one, another version of the two signs with.
Oh,
is that part of the application? Is that in here?
That's in there, yeah, there's a 3-page part of that sign application.
this one, right?
Yeah, there you go, so there's nighttime.
This
Okay.
one is right here.
You want a picture of the Haven sign for the record?
I
Up
guess,
to you.
yeah, I guess we could if you want.
Okay.
It can't hurt.
And I'll go look at some of the other signs, just up and down the road, so I can speak a little more to precedent.
Right, yeah, it can't hurt to see what the sizes are and how far back they are and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can figure from roadway, I don't know if I can do from property.
Well, yeah, but gives us a good idea. All right. Our council has indicated that this is a type 2 action, which I think is correct. Under 617.5C16, granting of individual setback and lot line variances and adjustments. So I'd make a motion that we consider it to be a type 2 action under 617.5C16. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, aye.
Yes.
Opposed? All right. Referrals to obviously the planning board, but Dutchess County Planning, because we have a,
Because it's a non-residential use,
Yeah.
and it's within 500 feet of Route 9, which is a state road.
okay. At this point in time, I'd also make a motion that we put it on for a public hearing. The next public,
January 15th.
January 15th? Is that a date you can make?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so I just make a motion that we put this on for public hearing on January 15th, 2020. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
The meetings are going to start at 7 PM next
Yeah.
year.
Okay.
Yeah, we can change that. And who would like to take this application? Catherine? Okay. All right. John, have I missed anything?
Nope.
Okay. We'll see you on the 15th.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks. Is anybody here for Whitman? Okay, according to the calendar, Whitman, case number 994 is on next. Nobody? All right, then I guess we'll move on to the public hearing. Just two things before we get into Etner. It looks like Hudson Valley Rhinebeck has asked for an adjournment until February, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, so that's off. And then, for the record, I received communication from Don Capolino, who's an attorney, who said he represented the Dahlbergs, and he sent an email to me saying he was withdrawing the application. I told him that he had to tell the clerk that, and apparently Chrissy contacted you,
Yes.
and
Piece of paper.
it was an email
Email.
saying that he represented and that they were withdrawing their application.
Yes.
So are they withdrawing the planning board application
They will
also?
be, yes.
Okay, so instead of 3 public hearings, we have 1. And with that,
Back.
you're back. We'll give you a rest.
It's efficient.
Is anybody here for the Etner matter?
We're here to listen.
Okay. All right, if you like, what's going to happen here, I don't know if you've been to one of these meetings before, is you're going to hear what the application is about. You're going to go through the application. If you have any questions, concerns, this is the time to get up and ask whatever questions, concerns you have. If you do want to do that, which I strongly encourage, come on up, identify yourself, where you live, and then ask whatever questions or state whatever concerns you have. Okay? Take it away.
All right, so this matter is 41 Violet Hill Road, which is essentially right across from the intersection of Violet Hill and Berger Road, about the easiest way to describe it. So this would be Violet Hill Road, and then a long driveway headed in past the main house, which sits on top of sort of a ridgeline, a little hill right here. Probably most important about this parcel is it's just a little over 18 acres in size, so more than 3.5 times the required minimum lot size of the zone that it's in. It's in a 5-acre zone, so we have about 3.5 times the required minimum acreage for a lot in this zone. And the reason we're here tonight is 2 matters, both related to sort of the same thing. And that is because in this particular zone, you're only allowed to have 3 structures under roof, and they are limited to 1,500 square feet of structure. That's not the main house. So what we have currently are 3 structures. We have a main house here, which is 3,350 square feet in size. And then we have this shed, which is actually currently located right here where this gray box is, which I'll get to in a minute. That shed is 360 square feet in size, 363 square feet in size, and it's currently located about here. And then the final structure that we currently have is this 1,550 square foot studio or barn. It's actually where the property owner has his glass blowing studio on the property. So these are our three existing structures, 1, 2, and then 3. And our proposal involves adding 2 more structures to the property. The first would be a 3-car garage, which we're proposing to put where the shed currently is. So as a result of that, the shed would get relocated. And that garage is just over 1,000 square feet in size. That's 1,032 square feet proposed. It's a 3-car garage, 1-story, designed to look like a barn. And then the second structure that we're proposing, or the 5th structure for the property, is a detached accessory dwelling. It's going to function probably more like a pool house, but by the code and based on the fact that there would be a bedroom and there would be a kitchen and a bathroom in it, it would more accurately be described as a detached accessory dwelling. So that's the approval that we're seeking from the planning board. But the reason I say it's probably more likely used as a pool house is because it's adjacent to a proposed pool. And then this is just a little like pergola structure, open roof, likely made out of cedar or mahogany or something along those lines. So this has been designed to really tuck into a hillside. There's a hill that runs along here. And we've designed this building to tuck into the hillside. The bedroom would be the only thing, and it was a 1-bedroom. Last time I had said we might be thinking about a 2-bedroom. It's actually going to be a 1-bedroom, essentially at driveway level. And then the lower level relates more to the pool. That's where the kitchen, the bathroom, the mechanical room would be, the large vaulted ceiling. So summer months, you're likely to come in from the pool, use the bathroom, heat a cup of coffee, whatever, have a cocktail at the kitchen counter. And then when they have guests over, the guests would use that same amenity, the kitchen, the bathroom, as part of their living quarters. So it's just basically designed to host friends from out of town and their children who are getting to be older, who would likely come back from school and have significant others that they might want to stay in a separate residence on the property. So we're here seeking the approval to be allowed to do these 5 structures total and for the additional square footage beyond what the code would allow. And we do have some floor plans, and we have renderings of the different buildings, which I could show you. Maybe the easiest one is to just look at the garage first.
Yeah, if you could show it basically for the folks in the audience too.
Yeah.
Can you tell me? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm searching. It is with the bid set, but that's page 10 or 11.
I can go through the whole bid set if you'd like. to
Yeah,
start
we'll
from
just
there.
maybe find a floor plan and all the pages. I mean, this is as good as any page. We can look at some elevations next. But basically, you can see just 3 garage bays. The doors face the driveway, and really not much else to it. Just people doors on either side. The idea being that if you don't want to open the garage door, you can just pass through the building if you need to get a gas can out or something like that. The idea is to store an antique car, to store the cars in winter, and a snow blower and that type of thing. Pretty basic rectangle box, and then there we go. So there's all 4 sides of elevation. So this would be facing the driveway, those 3 garage doors. That'll be facing the house, and then this would be facing the studio in the rear, and then that's facing the woods.
Can you see it from the roadway? Would you be able to see it? I wouldn't think so.
You can barely see the house. I mean,
Right,
the house is
up
pretty
on the hill.
large.
Yeah,
You really
yeah.
kind of have to crane.
So
back
it's
to see it.
it's in back of that.
This is way back, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
The studio is in the furthest
Yeah, maybe
part
just,
of the property.
right, so maybe we can go back to this site. It's the color.
And the studio has bathroom, bedroom, none of that?
No, the studio, it does, don't recall if it has a bathroom in it or not. I want to say it doesn't. It's a glass blowing studio, so studio not in terms of apartment, but studio in terms of artist studio. It's pretty crude inside. I mean, there's, you know, a kiln in there and just tons of glass making equipment and stuff like that. A lot of materials stored there. I honestly do not know if it has a bathroom. I don't think it does.
And, I'm sorry, can you point to roughly what a septic is?
The existing septic is here, and the proposed septic field is here, along with a replacement septic field for the main house. Given the age of the house, the county's requiring that we show replacement area for the main house as part of an approval to do the one-bedroom septic that would be associated with this building. And given the fact that this building is so far from the septic and there's elevation change and things, we're not proposing to expand the existing septic. We're proposing just to put in a new septic system here as part of this application, in addition to a new well. So this building would be served by a brand new septic and a brand new well, and it would leave this house on its own septic and well. Does anyone need to see more detail on the garage?
How about the,
Yeah, how about
as
this?
they get to the pool house?
So I think you can get out of this set altogether.
Oh, this whole
Yeah.
set? Okay.
Oh, this is good, perfect, here we go. So this is the ground floor of the proposed detached accessory dwelling. So essentially what you have are these 3 French doors, which really relate to the pool, so in the summertime, you can open them up and have your living and dining area sort of feel like quasi-indoor, outdoor space. Very easy shot in to use the restroom, and then there's a shower there as well, so if you come out of the pool and you want to shower off, or if you happen to be sleeping there and you want to take a shower before or after bed. And then there's a small kitchen, just a small cooktop, a stove, a refrigerator, very basic, enough to make a martini or make a little breakfast or something if you're staying there. And then this mechanical room is designed to be both the mechanicals for this structure and a lot of the mechanicals and storage for the pool, so that everything can be nice and neatly tucked away there. And then there is a second floor, so you go up the stairs here, and the second floor, there's not a whole lot to it. Essentially what you've got there is just a bedroom. So the idea being that you have this nice volume space below, and just a bedroom above that mechanical space. And there's some renderings there, you know, of the exterior, the proposed exterior of this building. Again, tucked into the hillside, with these doors being at 0, which would essentially be the coping level of the proposed pool.
Sorry.
No, that's some different elevations of the different sides of the building. So again, designed to look like a structure that relates to the property in some form. Everything's here is designed to feel fairly agricultural or woodshed-like, so that you maintain the character of its property. And one of the other nuances of the site plan, when we get back there, I'll show you, is that we're going to design a bit of an orchard feel around the pool. So there'll be some rows of crabapple trees that would go in around the pool. So it feels like the pool is sort of part of, you know, a former orchard ruin, is sort of the concept of the landscape there. And again, this is quite a bit down elevation from the house, so nothing that anyone would see from the road.
What's the topography like in back of the house? Is it
This is
same
fairly
level? Does
flat.
it go
This
down
is,
or up?
this is all pretty much from about here. This is all pretty much at the same elevation, okay, the driveway elevation. And then this drops off about 10 feet till you get to the pool elevation there. And this basically continues to be, you know, it's just sort of a giant bowl here. So this and this are sort of the 2 significant elevations on the property. And then you're climbing a bit at this point to get to the house. So
We have
maybe about 10 feet.
This is just a Google Earth.
Yeah, yeah, so you can see this elevation 1, elevation 2, and then the climb up the hill to the house. And that former ruin is pretty close to where the pool is proposed. It's a concrete slab of some sort out there.
And the nearest neighbor is up to the right. nearest neighbor to the proposed building is up and to the right.
Across the street, probably.
Yeah, I think probably here, I mean, there's a house here. Yeah, nearest is probably about there. And again, 20 acres, so ish.
Did you want to see pictures of the Shadow Studio or?
Happy with them. They want me to start with main house.
It's better to see more than less.
So just two different elevations of the main house, facing the driveway here. This is actually facing what would be the future three-car garage. So this is, if I'm standing in the driveway looking back towards the road, this is the road side. No, sorry, sort of the back again.
Do you want to see the other picture?
Yeah, there should be one more elevation. Maybe there's two and one in that one. There's two and one. This is the shed that's proposed to be relocated. Not much to it. And then that is the studio, the glass blowing studio. As part of the work we're going to be doing, we'll be doing some improvement to the cladding of that building. So part of the aesthetic here is to sort of tie the buildings a little bit tighter together. And they realize that that's fairly utilitarian looking, so they want to upgrade the finish of at least the front side of that. And maybe the roof as well. This is looking at it as if you drove straight in the driveway, so that's what you would see. All the other sides are pretty wooded.
Any questions, concerns, gentlemen?
No.
Okay. Any questions, concerns from the board?
No?
I think this is yours, Dave? For Rhinebeck?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And I just wanted to make just a clarification, because I know Darren had mentioned that there were 5 total. So the variance is actually because you can't have more than 3 accessory structures. So you'll have 4 accessory structures, so the variance is just for the one additional.
One accessory structure.
All right, I don't have any questions. And again, gentlemen, no questions, concerns, anything like that? All right, at this time, I'd make a motion that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Public hearing is closed. We have 62 days to render a resolution, or stating that 62 days to come up with a resolution. We'll get it in 61. Yeah, right, exactly. Hopefully we'll have it ready for the January 15th meeting, but,
Okay.
great, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darren?
Yeah.
We probably need to, we definitely need to do a site visit on this.
Yeah.
Should we contact you? Okay.
Yeah, I think the Enters are going away Christmas Eve, so they're going to be gone for a while, so I'm happy to take you guys out there.
Okay. So we'll make arrangements. We'll
Meeting
give
will
you
be
a call.
easy to schedule.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm around throughout the holidays, so whenever it works.
All right.
I'll be
Great.
68221.
Your numbers on the application, I presume?
Yeah,
Okay.
and my email,
Okay.
Karen@theartofbuilding.net.
All right, great, thank you. Okay, that's it for the public hearings, and next is old business, and the first order of old business is the plat matter, and we have a copy of the resolution. We're anticipating more people, so we have tons of copies, but you can take as many as you like.
One sufficient.
One sufficient, all right. What we've done in this case, because the matter is fairly complex, we put together a 22-page decision, and what we do in these type of cases where they're fairly complex and they require a multi-page decision, we do a separate resolution which breaks it down. That's 4 pages, and that's what I'm going to read at this point in time. And do you have a copy of just the decision, or do you have a copy of
Should
the...
be both there.
Should be both there. A 4-page,
Page 104, starting again.
okay, and then there should be 22 pages of decision attached to that. So, all right, this is the Zoning Board of Appeals Town of Rhinebeck resolution. Adopting decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals in the matter of the appeal and application for interpretation of Clifford Plat from a notice of violation. Order of remedy issued by the Town of Rhinebeck zoning enforcement officer on March 1st, 2019, as to Town of Rhinebeck zoning law sections 12550, 12553, 125.580B-3, and the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law district schedule of use regulations. This is ZBA case number 979. Whereas, 1, this matter involves an appeal from a notice of violation ordered to remedy, hereinafter referred to as notice of violation, issued on March 1st, 2019 by the Town of Rhinebeck zoning enforcement officer, ZEO, to Clifford Plat, the applicant, stemming from the use and business conducted on their property. 2, the applicant's property comprises 2.94 acres located at 854 South Mill Road in the Town of Rhinebeck and bears the Dutchess County tax map parcel number blah blah blah. The applicant's property is improved with a single-family residential home. It is located in the town's rural agricultural RA10 zoning district pursuant to the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. 3, on the property, the applicant conducts a business known as Farms to Tables according to the applicant. Farms to Tables, period. According to the applicant, Farms to Tables provides a marketing service that assists Hudson Valley farmers in selling their farm product, merchandise, directly to businesses without a wholesale or distributor. Based upon the applicant's presentations during the public hearing, Farm to Table offers an app to farmers to conduct their business for the purpose of selling their merchandise. Through the app, the farmers work directly with the purchasers, and Farm to Tables delivers those products. Currently, Farm to Tables has 4 vans that are used to deliver the farmers' products and merchandise to the purchasers. The vans pick up the products at the farmer's location and deliver the products to the purchaser. The vans are parked and stored at the property when they are not out for deliveries. Paragraph 4. On March 1st, 2019, the ZEO issued a notice of violation to the applicant citing 3 violations of the zoning law on the property. 1, keeping farm animals on a non-farm parcel of less than 3 acres in violation of zoning law section 125-50. 2, storing more than 1 commercial vehicle in a residential district in violation of zoning law section 125-53. And 3, conducting the unpermitted operation of a wholesale business in the RA10 zoning district in violation of the zoning law's use table. 5, on April 16, 2019, the applicant filed an appeal to this Zoning Board of Appeals challenging the ZEO's determinations in connection with a notice of violation, period. Regarding violation 1 mentioned above, the applicant noted that the chickens and roosters had been removed from the property following the notice of violation, and thus that violation had been remedied and was not part of the appeal. The applicant has appealed the remaining violations 2 and 3 mentioned above. On appeal, the applicant states that Farm to Tables is an agricultural use, and agricultural uses are permitted in the RA10 zoning district. Paragraph 6. The applicant's appeal was timely filed within 60 days of the filing of the ZEO's decision pursuant to zoning law section 125-125B. 7. On May 5th, 2019, this appeal was classified by the ZBA as a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, because it is an application for an interpretation on appeal from an administrative decision from the town ZEO. And it's under 617.5C37. Paragraph 8. A ZBA public hearing was duly advertised and held at the town hall. The public hearing was opened on June 19th, 2019. The ZBA heard arguments and testimony from the applicant and farmers who use the Farms to Table app. We also heard argument and testimony from members of the public, including a neighbor to the applicant's property. 9, the public hearing was continued at the board's July 17, 2019 meeting. Paragraph 10. While the public hearing was still open, on August 4th, 2019, ZBA Chairman Scott Bergen and ZBA members Catherine Clark and Timothy Allenbrook visited the applicant's property and received a tour of the exterior of the property from the applicant. The site visit was conducted with the applicant's consent and for the sole purpose of gathering information about the site and the applicant's business use of the property. During the site visit, the board members were able to observe 4 farm-to-tables delivery vans parked on the site. Paragraph 11. During the course of the public hearing, the ZBA received comment from the town of Rhinebeck Town Board in the form of a letter dated August 14th, 2019. The town board letter addressed, amongst other things, the intent of the agricultural use defined in the town of Rhinebeck zoning law. Paragraph 12. A copy of the town board's letter was provided to the applicant. Thereafter, he requested 2 adjournments from the ZBA in order to address the town board letter and provide a rebuttal to the ZBA. 2 adjournments were granted to the applicant to facilitate that. Paragraph 13. The final session of the public hearing was held at the board's meeting on October 16, 2019. At that time, the applicant provided the board with a written submission in both rebuttal to the town's comment and in summation of his entire appeal. Paragraph 14, the public hearing was closed on October 16, 2019. Paragraph 15, pursuant to zoning law section 125-125F1, we must issue our decisions in cases within 62 days from the close of the public hearing. Zoning law section 125-125F2 allows us to issue a decision beyond the 62-day period if we have the consent of the applicant to do so. In this case, the 62-day period expired on December 17th, 2019. However, in this case, and I wasn't quite sure about this, did we request, or Cliff, were you kind enough to just volunteer that?
I volunteered.
He volunteered. I think that should be changed just to be a little bit more accurate. However, in this case, the applicant volunteered to extend the period an extra day. Because that's the way it appeared to me, and I just wanted to make it clear for the record. Bless you. Let's see, December 18th, it was extended 1 day to December 18th, so we can issue our decision at a regularly scheduled ZBA meeting. Now therefore be it resolved by the town of Rhinebeck ZBA as follows. Section 1, we adopt our written decision in this matter dated December 18th, 2019, a copy of which decision is attached hereto and made a part thereof. Section 2, our written decision which is attached and incorporated herein is approximately 23 pages. That decision sets forth in-depth analysis of the case and sets forth in detail our determination in this case based upon the record before us, including our findings of fact and our conclusions of law. We have paper copies of our written decision here tonight to my left, and those copies of the decision are available for distribution for anyone who's here. And it's just Mr. Platt. In order to save time, we will not read the entire decision this evening, but based upon the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and reasoning set forth in our written decision, we determine as follows that A, the applicant's business activities on the property from farms to tables do not constitute a wholesale business. Hence, we overturn that portion of the CEO's notice of violation dated March 1st, 2019. B, the remainder of the CEO's March 1st, 2019 notice of violation is upheld. We determined that the applicant's business activities on the property for farm to tables do not constitute agricultural as defined in the town of Rhinebeck zoning law section 125-135. C, we determined further that the applicant's business activities on the property for farm to tables, specifically the parking of the applicant's 4 commercial vans, violates town of Rhinebeck zoning law section 125-36U1D and 125-53. D, hence with the exception of the ZEO's determination regarding the conduct of a quote-unquote wholesale business on the property, we uphold the ZEA's order of remedy that farm to tables must cease and desist from its operation of farms to tables on the farms, clean that up, on the property, and all but one commercial vehicle must be removed from the property. E, our determination in this case represents a sensible and natural interpretation of the language and sentence structure of the definition as written. Our interpretation yields a definition which is clear and unambiguous. Our interpretation is consistent with a pattern of provisions elsewhere in the zoning law which refer to farms and farming. Our interpretation is in accordance with the town board's testimony on its intended meaning of the definition of quote-unquote agriculture. An intended meaning which is also in accord with the actual language of the definition and with other related zoning law provisions on farms and farming. And finally, our interpretation is also one that meets the test of common sense. Okay. Any comments on the resolution that I just read? Or on the 23-page decision which we have rendered? No?
No.
No, okay. All right, at this time, I'd make a motion that we adopt the resolution as read and the decision that's referred to in the resolution. And Chris, can you poll the board?
Yes. Scott Bergen,
Yes.
Richard Macaluso,
Yes.
Catherine Clark,
Yes.
Dave Spies.
Yes. Second for the motion.
Oh, my
Second.
apologies. Second, all right. And you polled.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's it, thank you. The next matter that is on is Marisi. Dave, from you.
Yes.
Take us through that one.
Ready to read? Okay, this is resolution proposed in ZBA case number 980. Whereas, one, background, the applicant appellant is Cheryl Maurice, referred here after as the applicant, who submitted an application to construct a garage, missing a word, between the public road and the dwelling. Subject appeal and request for variances results from the denial of town of Rhinebeck zoning enforcement officer, CEO, dated April 10, 2019. Paragraph 2, property involved. This appeal involves property located at 336 Route 308, Rhinebeck, New York, which bears tax parcel number 13509-6270-00181-474. The applicant's property is 1.26 acres in size and located in the RC5 and WRO zoning districts. 3, representation. The owner is represented by Jerry Thorpe of Bay Horse Gazebos and Barns before this board. 4, description of proposed project. Owner proposed to construct a 20 by 20, one-story, two-bay garage between the public road and the residence. 5, number of area variances required. The zoning enforcement officer issued a review of the applicant's application on April 10th, 2019, identifying 3 area variances that would be necessary to approve the application to locate, which are to locate the accessory structure 1 between the road and the principal dwelling, which is not allowed by zoning. 2, 20 feet within the minimum allowed front yard setback of 50 feet, and 3, 15 feet 4 inches within the minimum allowed side yard setback. Section 2, paragraph 6, ZBA review. Timeliness of appeal. The applicant filed an appeal with this board on April 15, 2019, and has paid the requisite fee. The appeal was filed within 60 days of the date of the ZEO's decision, and thus the application is timely as required by Section 125-125B of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. Paragraph 7, acceptance of application is complete. The applicant provided the ZBA with documentation on May 15, 2019, and on the same date, the ZBA deemed the application complete and accepted it for review. Paragraph 8, seeking planning board approval. The Rhinebeck Planning Board is the lead agency. The ZBA defers environmental review to the planning board. The Rhinebeck Planning Board met on June 3, 2019, determined this to be a type 2 action under SECRA, section 617.5 C12. Paragraph 9, referrals and responses. Dutchess County Planning Department. We determined that this Application was not required to be referred to the Dutchess County Planning Department and Planning and Economic Development pursuant to Section 239M of the New York State General Municipal Law, or 125-125E of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law, Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board. As required by Section 125-125E of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law, this application referred to the Town Planning Board, and the Town Planning Board responded on June 5th, 2019, recommending that the ZBA rely upon its own study of the facts and sign the application in accordance with the criteria and procedures set forth in Town Code Chapter 125, Sections 125, 124C and D, including soliciting input of neighbors. The application was delayed due to prior unrelated notices of violations cited by the ZEO, which violations were subsequently addressed by the applicant and closed via letter from the ZEO on August 29, 2019 and October 23, 2019. Town of Rhinebeck Conservation Advisory Board. We determined this application was not required to be referred to the Town of Rhinebeck Conservation Advisory Board pursuant to Chapter 9, Sections 9-5A1, 9-5A8A, and 9-6A of the Town of Rhinebeck Town Code, because the application does not propose the use and development of open space. Town of Rhinebeck Waterfront Advisory Committee. We determined that this application was not required to be referred to the Town of Rhinebeck Waterfront Advisory Committee pursuant to Chapter 118 of the Town of Rhinebeck Town Code, because the land upon which the project is proposed does not lie within the town's coastal area, and/or because the proposed action is a minor action, as such is defined in Chapter 118. Paragraph 10, site visit. On November 23rd, 2019, ZBA member Dave Tobias visited the subject property. And by the way, I'm missing if anyone else visited the property. If so, please let me know the date, but I'll include it. No such visits? Okay. I visited the property and surrounding neighborhood to observe firsthand on-site conditions, property characteristics, settings, surrounding environment, and the character of the surrounding neighborhood. The purpose of the site visit was to observe the property and the surrounding area to inform the board members for the upcoming decision. The site visit was conducted solely to gather information, and no business or deliberations were conducted during the site visit with myself. Section 11, public hearing. The public hearing on this appeal was duly advertised and held at Town Hall on June 19, 2019. No members of the public attended or submitted letters for or against the proposal, and the public meeting was closed on November 20th, 2019. Part 3, findings of fact and conclusions of law. Paragraph 12, balancing test. In our review of the variance sought, we've considered the benefit to the applicant if the area variance is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. Paragraph 13, consideration of 5 factors in the balancing test. In our review of the variance sought and consideration of the balancing between the benefit to the applicant as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community, we have considered the 5 factors required by Section 125-124C1 of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law as follows. A, if the variance is granted, will it cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or cause a detriment to nearby properties? We find the answer to this question is no. The proposed garage will be located at the distal eastern end of the local neighborhood with no other homes for approximately a quarter mile beyond, which are on the far side of Route 9G overpass. The garage will be visible to passing traffic on Route 308 and 1 or 2 homes on the opposite side, north side of Route 308. It will enhance the property in terms of function and value, and to the extent it is used to house vehicles, these would no longer be visible. The design of the garage itself is described in the site plan dated August 21st, 2019 by William Bernier, architect, is deemed to be in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. B, can the benefits sought by the appellant be achieved by some method feasible for the appellant to pursue other than an area variance? We find the answer to this question is no. Feasible buildable area of the property is so limited that the proposed construction site is the only suitable location. C, is the requested variance substantial? We find the answer to this question is no. The area variance requested is considered insubstantial in terms of the setback needed, the location of the lot, and in relation to other structures in the neighborhood. As a traditionally designed garage, it is complementary in style and size to the other structures in the area. In this case, the parcel is substantially smaller at 1.26 acres than minimum lot size pursuant to RC5 zoning, but the proposed garage will enhance the property in terms of function and value with no expected detrimental impact on the neighborhood or Route 308. D, will the proposed variance have an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? We find the answer to this question is no. The garage will not negatively impact views from the few homes that may be within its view shield. E, is the alleged difficulty self-created? We find the answer to this question is yes. The applicant could forego building the garage and use the property pursuant to the configuration in which it was originally acquired. Paragraph 14, minimal variance requested. In addition to our review of the 5 factors and balancing tests, we must also determine if the requested variances are the minimum necessary and adequate to accomplish what is requested by the applicant, while also preserving and protecting the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. We find the answer to this question is yes. The size and design of the garage are in keeping with other barns in the area, and the request for a 20 by 20 foot garage in the location proposed appears reasonable. Paragraph 15, the result of the balancing test. Based on our analysis of the 5 factors discussed above and the consideration of having the minimal variance requested, we find that the balancing test favors granting of the area variance. Variance is sought. Now therefore be it resolved, based on all the facts described above and upon reasoning described above, as follows. Section 1, the ZBA hereby grants the variance from zoning law Section 125-27A4, finding that the benefit to the applicant outweighs any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such a grant. Our decision is supported by balancing of the 5 factors as discussed above. Section 2, the granting of this variance is expressly contingent upon the applicant's full payment to the town of Rhinebeck and any and all fees and escrow deposits due in connection with this application in full compliance with Article 14, fee reimbursement of the town of Rhinebeck zoning law. This variance shall not be granted until all such fees are paid in full by the applicant. Section 3, granting of the variance does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits and or approvals. The proposed structure must be constructed in conformity with the application and plan submitted. Section 4, the area variance shall be null and void unless construction of the proposed garage is commenced within 1 year of this resolution. Now therefore be it resolved, based on the facts and reasoning described above, the CBA hereby grants the applicant the area variances requested. The decision to grant these variances, is supported by a balancing of the factors discussed above. We find that I'll need to rework that last sentence.
Benefit to the applicant.
Right, benefit to the applicant outweighs the potential detriment to health, safety, property values, and welfare of the neighborhood or community. I'll reverse that. Apologies. So variances proposed to be approved.
Discussion?
Yeah.
Nope.
Any comments or?
I just have a few comments. Going back to number 3 for representation, I would just say that they were represented by Bay Horse generally, because I think that there were 3.
There were multiple people
Yeah.
out
So,
there.
and I think that's how the authorization was worded anyway, was that it was just Bay Horse Gazebo. So I would just take out reference to Jerry Thorpe specifically.
So the owner is represented by?
Bay Horse Gazebo.
Because there were multiple folks from that.
Fair enough. Okay. And Chris, I'll make these corrections.
Yeah.
And then give it to you.
Thank you.
For number 9, with the planning board recommendation, I thought that they didn't really have a comment on some issues with the site plan. I don't have the
I got it.
thing in front of me, but I thought that they had no recommendations.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
talk about that with Chris in the file. Is this it? Oh, great. Thank you. Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board upon referral by the ZBA for an application by Shelley Reese finds that due to the apparent inaccuracies identified in the site plan, the planning board has no recommendation. Okay, thank you for identifying that. I will modify section 9 to reflect that.
And Number 11, just the last line, no members of the public attended or submitted for or against the proposal, and the public hearing was closed on November 20th.
Hearing 7 meeting.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any other?
No, it's an easy application, I thought, but,
I agree.
yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
Want to make a motion?
Motion to approve variances as just read and to be amended as just discussed.
Second.
Second?
Second that?
All right, and Chris, do you want to pull on the board?
Yes, pull the board. Scott Bergen.
Yes.
Richard Macaluso.
Yes.
Dave Tobias.
Yes.
Kathleen Clark.
Yes. All right. So the next is Petrone?
Yes, I have that one.
Okay.
Resolution on Richard Petrone, ZBA case 989. Background, one applicant. Chris, I'm reading a version with, Kim made some
Yes.
good suggestions, and that's what I'm reading from, and I'll give this to you when I'm finished.
And I think I have.
Good,
I
yes.
think.
All right. The applicant appellant is Richard Petrone, the owner referred to hereafter as the applicant. This appeal is from the town of Rhinebeck, ZBA's zoning administrator's denial dated September 9th, 2019. The property is at 90 Old Albany Post Road in Rhinebeck, and the parcel number set forth in the resolution. The applicant's property is .245 acres and is located in RC5 zoning district. The owner applicant would like to extend his existing deck and add another 12 by 15 foot area. The deck area will be at the same level as the current deck. According to the applicant, the topography is steep, and the purpose of the extension is to provide additional areas to walk along the property, which would be handicap accessible. The side setback requirement for accessory structures is 37.5, and the requested is 10, therefore a variance of 27.5 feet. Number of area variances required is 1. Accessory dwelling side yard setback in section 125.72B, permitted these aforesaid 37.5. The owner is requesting the variance of 27.5 feet. Timeliness, the applicant filed an appeal with the board on September 16, 2019, has paid the requisite fee. The appeal was filed within 60 days of the date of the ZEO's determination appeal from, and thus the application is timely as required by the town of Rhinebeck zoning code. 7, on October 16, 2019, the board deemed the application to be complete and accepted for review. SECRA. After accepting this appeal, we determined that this matter should be classified as a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act because the project involves granting of one variance, granting of a side yard setback variance. 617 5C16 applies. No further review is required. Dutchess County is not applicable. The town of Rhinebeck Planning Board as required. It was referred to them, and they did respond on the 22nd of October. The planning board recommended the ZBA rely upon its own study of the facts in deciding the application in accordance with the criteria and procedures set forth in the town code. The planning board found the requested area variance raised no significant planning or environmental issues. The town of Rhinebeck Conservation Advisory Board was not required, as was not the Rhinebeck Waterfront Advisory Board. Site visit on the 30th day of November, Kathleen Clark and Richard Macaluso, ZBA members, visited the applicant's property in the surrounding neighborhood to observe firsthand on-site conditions, property characteristics, setting, surrounding environment, and the character of the surrounding neighborhood. The purpose of this Site visit was to observe the property and the surrounding area, to inform the board members for the upcoming decision. The site visit was conducted solely to gather information, and no business or deliberation was conducted during the site visit. The public hearing of this was duly advertised and held in the town hall on November 20th. Richard Bertrand presented the matter. There were no members of the public present, either in favor or opposed. Balancing testimony. In our review of the variance sought, we have considered the benefit of the applicant if the area variance is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the community and neighborhood by such grant. Determining that the variance requested should be granted because there is no detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by granting this variance. In our review of the variance, so we have considered the 5 factors as the code follows. A, if the variance is granted, will it cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or cause a detriment to nearby properties? We find the answer to this question is no. An undesirable change will not occur in the character of the neighborhood or cause a detriment to the nearby properties by the granting of these variances. The applicant is asking for an addition to the existing deck. The applicant has regraded the property in a positive way and has improved the appearance. Can the benefits sought by the applicant be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than area variance? We find the answer to this question is no. Building in addition to the deck elsewhere in the property is not possible. There are grading issues, and this extension is an extension of an existing deck. I'm sure I could word that better, but it's fine. Is the requested area variance substantial? We find the answer to this question is no. The side yard variance of 27.5 feet and the addition of the 12 by 50 deck are not substantial. The applicant's proposed addition is reasonable and logical given the topography layout of the property. Will the proposed variance have an adverse effect or physical environment of the neighborhood or the district? We find the answer to this question is no. The applicant's deck addition will improve the property, accommodate any handicap issues, and benefit the neighbors' properties. There will be no traffic impact. This variance, is this difficulty self-created? Yes, it is self-created. The applicant should have been aware of the existing zoning setback requirements. However, the applicant's proposed addition is reasonable and logical given the topography and area of the property. In addition, I review the 5 factors involved. We must also determine if these requested variances represent the minimum variance necessary and adequate to accomplish what is requested by the applicant, and also preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. We find the answer to this question is yes. The deck addition will benefit the neighborhood and the community. Result of the balancing test based on analysis, the 5 factors discussed above, and in consideration of having the minimum variance request, we find the balancing test favors granting the area variance sought now. Therefore, be it resolved based on the facts described above and upon the reasoning described above as follows. 1. The ZBA grants the applicant 1 area variance. The benefit to the applicant outweighs any detriment to the health, safety of the neighborhood or community by such a grant. Our decision is supported by a balancing of the factors discussed above. For this reason, we find the benefit that is received in this variance outweighs any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood and community. The ZBA grants the side variance of 27.5 feet from the zoning code, subject to the granting of this variance shall also be expressly contingent upon the applicant's full payment to the town of Rhinebeck of any and all fees and escrows due in connection with this application in full compliance with the code. Fee reimbursement the town of Rhinebeck zoning law. These variances shall not be deemed granted until all such fees are paid in full by the applicant. The granting of the variance does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other permits required or approved. The proposed structure must be constructed in conformity with the application and plan submitted. The area variance will be null and void unless the proposed addition is commenced within 1 year of this resolution.
Comments?
Kind of an emotional moment. That's resolution.
Is it the last one?
No,
I think there's one more.
one more.
He's got one
Last
more.
one by Richard.
No, this is my last one.
Oh, yes.
Who's the next one?
Tim's not here.
He's not here.
Tim and you,
We got Jacob to read, but
Yeah, we have Jacob.
this
but
is
this
something.
is Richard
I think
Swan.
This is Richard Swanson.
This is Richard Swanson. I'll look over to the camera.
Yeah, I thought this is, again, another pretty easy one.
Yes.
Have any concerns about it, so,
Yeah, once the applicant got it on track.
yeah. Do you want to make a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to grant this one variance.
And I'll-
Accept this resolution.
And I'll second that.
Okay.
Chris?
Bullitt, Tim's absent. Scott Bergen,
Yes.
Richard Macaluso.
Yes.
Dave Tobias.
Yes.
Catherine Clark.
Yes.
All right, so we have, it's the Jacob resolution.
Jacob.
Want to read Catherine? I've read one. Dave's read one.
Yep.
Richard's read one.
I can read one?
I think you can read one.
Okay. Resolution of the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals in the matter of the area variance, application of Charles and Valerie Jacob, ZBA case number 990. Background. The applicant is Charles and Valerie Jacob, referred to hereafter as the applicant. The applicant is represented before this board by Jordan Valdina of the firm Synergy Design Architecture and Engineering, PLLC. Property involved. This appeal involves property located at 11-35 Wall Street in the town of Rhinebeck, which bears the tax parcel number 1350896170002444176. The applicant's property is 10.56 acres in an area that is located in the RA10 zoning district. Description of proposed project. The applicant proposes to build an addition to the existing two-bedroom cottage. The addition will be on the ground floor and will comprise kitchen and living space. Initially, the application indicated that the existing kitchen and living space on the second floor would be turned into another bedroom, making the cottage 3-bedroom. However, after assessing the soils for the septic, it was determined that the existing kitchen and living space on the second floor will be turned into a home office instead. Revised plans showing this change have been submitted to the ZBA on December 10th, 2019. The applicant will require 2 variances as follows. So there was one typo in there, Chris, have instead of has. Have been submitted. 1, zoning law section 12568E4 allows a maximum of 900 square feet of habitable space in detached accessory dwelling units. Presently, the existing cottage is 1,056 square feet, and the proposed addition to the ground floor is 438 square feet, for a total of 1,494 square feet, or an area variance of 594 square feet. It is noted that the ZEO's determination letter dated August 1st, 2019, initially stated that the proposed addition would result in a 1,932 square feet of habitable space. However, only the ground floor will be made into habitable space. The second floor will be a deck. For this reason, the proposed addition will create 1,494 square feet of habitable space, thus requiring an area variance of 594 square feet. 2, zoning law section 12527A4 allows roof structures to have a maximum aggregate floor area of 1,500 square feet, or 300 square feet per acre, whichever is less restricted. The allowable aggregate floor area for accessory roof structures for this 10.56 acre property is therefore 3,168. The proposed aggregate floor area will be 5,020 square feet, which requires an area variance of 1,852 square feet. Four, timeliness of appeal. The applicant filed an appeal with this board on September 18th, 2019, and has paid the requisite fee. The appeal was filed within 60 days of the date of the CEO's determination, appealed from, dated August 1, 2019, and thus the application is timely as required by Section 125(b) of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. This application was deemed complete and accepted by this board on October 16, 2019. Secra. After accepting this appeal, we determined that this matter should be classified as a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act because the project involves granting of an area variance for a single-family residence, 6 New York CRR Section 617.5 C17. No further review is required. Referrals and responses. The application was referred to Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board on October 18, 2019, and Town of Rhinebeck Waterfront Advisory Committee on October 18, 2019. Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board responded on October 22, 2019, stating that there were no significant planning or environmental concerns. Town of Rhinebeck Waterfront Advisory Committee responded on December 11, 2019, stating they did not have any additional comments for this application. Then we can just cross out those next few couple of words, Chris. 7, public hearing. A public hearing on this appeal was duly advertised and held at Town Hall on November 20th, 2019. During the course of the public hearing, we received no comments. The public hearing was closed on November 20th, 2019. 8, site visit. On December 7th, 2019, ZBA members Catherine Clark, David Tobias, and Tim Allenbrook visited the applicant's property and the surrounding neighborhood to observe firsthand on-site conditions, property characteristics, settings, surrounding environment, and the character of the surrounding neighborhood. The proposed addition was staked out and appeared to be appropriately sited given the existing conditions. No business or deliberations were conducted during the site visit. Findings of fact and conclusions of law. 9, balancing test. In our review of the variances sought, we have considered the benefit to the applicant if the area variances are granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. We determined that the variances requested should be granted because there are no detriments to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by the granting of these variances. Consideration of 5-factor balancing test. In our determination, we have considered the 5 factors required by Section 125-124C1 of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law as follows. If the variances are granted, will they cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or cause a detriment to nearby properties? We find the answer to this question is no. There will be little change in the character of the property and no detriment to nearby properties. B, can the benefit sought by the applicant be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance? We find the answer to this question is no. The proposed 1-story addition is tucked in next to the existing garage structure, and it is unlikely that another approach would avoid the need for the subject variance. C, is the requested area variance substantial? We find the answer to this question is no. The addition is limited to the ground floor and equals roughly 25% of the existing 2-story structure. D, will the proposed variances have an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? We find the answer to this question is no. Given the modest size of the addition and the overall size of the property, there will be little adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. Is the alleged difficulty self-created? We find the answer to this question is yes. The hardship is self-created. 11, minimal variance requested. In addition to our review of the 5 factors and balancing test, we must also determine if this requested variance is the minimum variance necessary and adequate to accomplish what is requested by the applicant. We find the answer to this question is yes. The variance requested by the applicant represents a modest minimum necessary and adequate to accomplish what is requested. Now, therefore, be it resolved, based on all the facts described above and upon the reasoning described above, as follows. Section 1, the ZBA hereby grants the 2 variances requested by the applicant, finding that the benefit to the applicant outweighs the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such a grant. The applicant proposes to build an addition to the existing 2-bedroom cottage. The addition will be on the ground floor and will comprise kitchen and living space. The existing kitchen and living space on the 2nd floor will be turned into a parlor and a home office. The applicant will require 2 variances as described above in paragraph 3. Section 2, the granting of these variances is expressly contingent upon the following. The accessory cottage shall have a maximum of 2 bedrooms as was represented by the applicant in this application. Section 3, the granting of these variances shall also be expressly contingent upon the applicant's full payment to the town of Rhinebeck of any and all fees and escrow deposits due in connection with this application in full compliance with Article 14, fee reimbursement of the town of Rhinebeck zoning law. These variances shall not be deemed granted until all such fees are paid in full by the applicant. Section 4, the granting of these variances does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits and/or approvals. The proposed structures must be constructed in conformity with the application and plans submitted. Section 5, the area variances shall be null and void unless the proposed construction is commenced within 1 year of this resolution.
Well done.
Any questions? Discussion?
No?
I make a motion that we approve this resolution.
I'll second it. Chris?
All right, I'll pull. Scott Bergen,
Yes.
Catherine Clark,
Yes.
Richard Macaluso.
Yes.
Dave Price.
Yes.
Okay. And the last one for the evening is the door application. And I'll read that, and Kim, thank you for kindly reviewing it. All right, this is a resolution of the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals in the matter of the area variance application of Frederick Dorward Jr., ZBA case number 992. Paragraph 1, applicant. The applicant is Frederick Dorward Jr., here referred to hereinafter as the applicant. The applicant is represented before the board by Jerry Trout, contractor. Property involved. The appeal involves property located at 231 Pellis Road in the town of Rhinebeck. Take out the inn, which bears the tax parcel number 135-089-6271-00-911319. The applicant's property is 7.42 acres and is located in the RC5 zoning district. Description of the project: the applicant proposes to build a 3-car garage. Because the garage will be located in front of the principal structure, a variance is required pursuant to town zoning law, section 125-27A3, as the accessory structure will be closer to the front of the parcel than the principal structure. The applicant will require 1 variance as follows. 1, zoning code section 125-27A3 holds that no accessory structure shall be located in front of the principal structure. Based upon the plan submitted, the applicant will require a 37-foot variance to locate the garage in front of the principal residence. ZBA review. Paragraph 4, timeliness of the appeal. The applicant filed an appeal with this board on September 30th, 2019, and has paid the requisite fee. The appeal was filed within 60 days of the date of the ZEO's determination. Appealed from dated September 16th, 2019, and thus the application is timely as required by section 125-125B of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. The application was deemed complete and accepted by this board on October 16th, 2019. seeker. After accepting this appeal, we determined that this matter should be classified as a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act because the project involves granting of an area variance for a single-family residence pursuant to 617.5C17. No further review is required pursuant to seeker. Referrals and responses. The application was referred to the Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board on October 16, 2019. The zoning board received a letter from the planning board dated October 22, 2019, concluding that the requested variance would raise no significant planning or environmental concerns. No other referrals are required or were required. Public hearing. A public hearing on this appeal was duly advertised and held at the Town Hall on November 20th, 2019. During the course of the public hearing, we received no comments. The public hearing was closed on November 20th, 2019. Site visit, and I went out today, but did anybody else go by him?
Anything else?
Okay, all right, so it's accurate then. Excuse me, on December 18th, 2019, ZBA member Scott Bergen visited the applicant's property and surrounding neighborhood to observe firsthand on-site conditions, property characteristics, settings surrounding environment, just say surrounding environment, and character of the surrounding neighborhood. The proposed addition was staked out and appeared to be appropriately sited given the existing conditions, including the property topography, location of the existing driveway and house. The business or deliberations were conducted during the site visit. Findings of fact and conclusions of law. The balancing test. In our review of the variance sought, we have considered the benefit to the applicant if the area variance is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. We determined that the variance requested should be granted because there is no detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by the granting of the variance. 10, consideration of the 5 factors in balance test. In our determination, we have considered the 5 factors required by Section 125-124C1 of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law as follows. A, if the variance is granted, will it, not they, cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or cause a detriment to the nearby properties? We find that the answer to the question is no. There will be little change in the character of the property and no detriment to the nearby properties. Additionally, based upon the road, this property acts like a corner lot and thereby it has 2 front yards. Although the garage will be situated closer to the road on one side than the house, the garage is actually located to the side of the house. It will not cause an undesirable change in the character of the property or the neighborhood. B, can the benefits sought by the applicant be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance? We find that the answer to the question is no. The proposed 3-car garage is appropriately situated given the topography of the property and the location of the existing dwelling. Should be the existing driveway and house. Basically, the garage is limited to where it can be placed in the area set forth in the application as appropriate. Is the requested area variance substantial? We find that the answer to this question is no. The addition is
Location.
The variance is
the
limited?
variance is limited to simply having the accessory structure slightly closer to the roadway than to the front of the property when compared to the principal residence. The distance to the front of the the property is not substantial. D, will the proposed variance have an adverse impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? We find that the answer to the question is no. Given the modest request, the submitted plans for the 3-car garage, the overall size of the property, as well as the surrounding neighborhood, that there will be little adverse impact on the physical and environmental conditions on the neighborhood or district. In fact, the garage should enhance the property and neighborhood. I didn't say it, but for the reasons I think Dave set forth in his application, is that you're not going to see the cars there. I don't know, actually make things look nicer. Is the alleged difficulty self-created? We find the answer to the question is yes, the hardship is self-created. 11, minimal variance required. In addition to our review of the 5 factors in the balancing test, we must also determine if this requested variance is the minimum variance necessary and adequate to accomplish what is requested by the applicant. We find that the answer to this question is yes, the variance requested by the applicant represents a modest request which is necessitated by the topography of the property. It should also be noted that the property comprises 7.42 acres and is located in an RC5 zone. Now therefore be it resolved based upon all of the facts described above and upon the reasoning described above as follows. Section 1. The ZBA hereby grants the variance requested by the applicant, finding that the benefit to the applicant outweighs the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. The applicant proposes to build a 3-car garage. The 3-car garage will be closer to the front of the property than the principal dwelling. Because the accessory structure will be located closer to the front of the parcel than the existing principal residence, it requires a variance pursuant to 125-27A3 of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. Section 2, the granting of the variance, not variances, shall be expressly contingent upon the applicant's full payment to the Town of Rhinebeck of any and all fees and escrow deposits due in connection with this application in full compliance with Article 14, fee a question mark, there's a question mark here for some reason, I don't know why. Take that out. It should have been a quote. Fee reimbursement of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. This variance shall not be deemed granted until all such fees are paid in full by the applicant. Section 3, the granting of the variance does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits and/or approvals. The proposed structure must be constructed in conformity with the application and plans submitted. Section 4, the area variance shall be null and void unless the proposed construction is commenced within 1 year of this resolution. Comments, concerns?
Nope.
None? Well done, very good. Anyway, I make a motion at this time that we adopt the resolution as read. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Chris, would you like to poll the board?
Yes. Scott Bergen?
Yes.
Richard Macaluso?
Yes.
Dave Tobias?
Yes.
Kathleen Clark?
Yes.
And that concludes this evening's activities. Again, Richard, I wish you well and thank you for all your service over the 4 years. And, hopefully we'll see you on a Wednesday night in the audience.
In January,
Yeah?
7 o'clock.
We start getting some hard questions from
That's
the
right.
public.
The public,
Okay.
right?
Maybe you can heckle to, make things a little lively or
That's
something.
right. Especially with any attorneys.
You knew I was leaving, I say we double the salary.
All right, absolutely.
Thank you.
And happy holidays to everybody.
All right.
That's it.